Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I think just put it very simple, actions or inactions have consequences. That is, if you act in a certain way, that would create something in return, not action and reaction. Or if you don't act upon something, that something could develop into something else further. And if you're conscious and you know that that thing is there, but you fail to act and get to the point where, destruction and something negative occurs, then you can say that you're kind of responsible for knowing but failing to act. Maybe not because of the inability. Sometimes you can't act. You're aware of that situation, but you can't stop it. I understand that one. But if you have the power to stop it and you do not intervene, now that's the problem. Also, in any civilized society where you have, writing, you should be able to figure out who said what in government. When a decision is made by a department, by, an administration, you should be able, 100% able to figure out who signed what, who said what and when. So if, let's say, the Defense Department of Defense, right, comes and says, well, we decided to bomb this country, we should be able to figure out exactly who was the first who came with that idea. Because, in every kind of meeting, there are little notes that are taken, okay? Pop, 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 pop. That's one thing. And that person who decided should be proud of his decision. So he should not be hiding. But the consequences of that decision should fall entirely on that person who signed. That person should not have any, weasel way out. Now, let's see what's going on here. We have Macron, who I think that he's an intelligent guy. He's a diplomatic guy, but he's a weasel. He's a weasel, like politicians in general. But he's the one who's able to keep a balance. He's not going in. He's very calculated and very balanced, in my assessment. If I put Scholz around him, the Chancellor of Germany, I think that guy has a lower this, and he's a scaredy cat and a weasel. All right. So regarding experience, the same. I don't know if he's unexperienced or he's just, you know what I mean. And I can go on and on, but that's not the purpose. But Macron said something very, very important. Something that actually will get me to the point I was making at the beginning of the video about who is responsible. So this article comes from the New Voice of Ukraine. It's from today, December 4th, 2022. Macron believes future security architecture should include Russia's interest. Did you hear that? So Macron is the only one who says, well, the future security architecture of European Union and all that should include Russia's interest, security interest, mind you. That's going to be further in the article. So the West should include security guarantees for Russia if Russian dictator Vladimir Putin agrees to negotiate the peace process with Ukraine, French President Emmanuel Macron told French TV station TF1 on December 3rd during his state visit to the USA. Now, obviously, Vladimir Putin is all for a peace process, all for. Yeah, he's all. But you might not agree with his demands. So, as I said, I like peace, Napoleon said, but I want it on my terms. So, if it's not on my terms, then we're going to go to war. The same is on the other side. The other side again. So, on both sides, wants peace as long as it's done in its terms, or at least they negotiate a middle ground, correct? Something in the middle. Now, Russia, before this invasion, before what's happening in Ukraine, what did it ask the West? Specifically United States and the European Union. Security guarantees. That was one of the 4 points it wanted. at the beginning. Remember, they tried for about a year and a half before February 24th, 2022. They asked the Americans, they tried, the last attempt was in December 2021, when the Foreign Ministry of Russia submitted an official letter document to the United States, the counterpart, United States of America. And Blinken did not answer it. So, is that inaction? Because of the lack of security guarantees offered to Russia, which were, they wanted it in writing. So there's going to be international law, so they can point to the offenders, not words like 1990, yeah, it's okay, we allow you to unite Germany, but then in return, NATO, we promise you guys, we're not going to come 1 inch eastward. And then they're at their doorstep. Now, let's see what Macron says here. Macron said he shared US President Joe Biden's position in regard to the war in Ukraine. And I'm quoting, "We are in line with Biden, helping Ukrainians to counter Russian strikes on their civilian infrastructure, to put pressure on Russia so it returns to the negotiating table, to eliminate escalation in regard to civil nuclear power, and finally to consider new security architecture that includes guarantees for Russia," the French leader said. Now, why didn't they do this in December last year? Why didn't they do it before December? They didn't want to hear it. And now, after all the destruction that occurred in Ukraine and Russia, now they say, yeah, we can talk about it if you come to negotiate. Wait a second, the Rubicon was crossed. We tried not to cross it. The last attempt was in December 2021. Yes, exactly, I'm blaming the people. We know exactly who said what. We know exactly who turned the back. We know exactly who initiated many times. So we know exactly who is guilty of inactivity or activity, okay? You can say, well, okay, Russia invaded Ukraine. And if you start from there and you just limit to that, that's true. That is true. But that is, like going to buy a car and say, hey, that's a thing. I'm going to pay for it. That's all I need to know. It's a thing. Well, no. When you go to buy a car and you go to buy anything in your life, you want to know as much as possible about that thing. So the same here. When you talk about how the war broke, then you want to know as much as possible how it led to that thing. And I'm telling you, if you go and you get all the information, you're going to get to NATO expansion. Or if you want to go further, more back in time, you can go to what? To Soviet Union's disintegration. An agreement to allow Germany and the Eastern Europe to do what they did. Become capitalist and free countries, free societies and democracy and blah, 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 blah. Okay? They could have stayed as an evil empire longer than they stayed. I know people here like to put medals and say, we did it, we outspent them in the, Ronald Reagan, he did it with his space program, and yes, Star Wars. People, those are movies. Stop. We outspent them, they were starving. That's not true. I lived during those times in a country worse than Russia. Russia was doing much better than Romania, economically, the society overall. So they could have gone like this on and on and on. Alright? Believe me, like Romania went until they killed that guy. Remember him? The dictator? Now that was a dictator. He was not elected, he was appointed, and he was, whatever. So let's see what else Macron has to say here. So he's okay with guarantees now. So, Reuters reports Macron thinks Europe should prepare its future security architecture. And I'm quoting, "This means that one of the essential points we must address, as President Putin has always said, is the fear that NATO comes right up to its doors and the deployment of weapons that could threaten Russia. Macron said, I think Macron is going to be lynched because of this. So he says, this means that one of the essential points must address, as President Putin has always said, is the fear, they have the major points, right, the essential points, the fear that NATO comes right up to Russia's doors and the deployment of weapons that could threaten Russia. Macron said, hey, what's going on? How is this guy saying this that the Russians were saying for about 10 years? And says that topic will be part of the topics for peace. Did you hear? So we need to prepare that what we are ready to do, how we protect our allies and member states, and how to give guarantees to Russia the day it returns to negotiating table. However, he stressed it's up to the Ukrainians. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he says, do you think when Alsace and Lorraine was seized by Germany, we would like some world leaders to advise us what we... Okay, yeah, you have that thing. So I will talk to Putin again after the Director General of International Atomic Energy blah, 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 visits me, he said. He talks with, what's his name, and he being Macron, speaking with Zelensky. So did you hear? Now, it's the same thing as you, I'm going to tell you a little story a little bit later. So now everything that Russia wanted before the disaster in Ukraine, now they want to talk about it. Who are those responsible who did not want to talk to Russia? We know them. Blinken, right? Kirby probably, but Kirby is just a spokes, blah, blah, blah. Little hyena over there. Obviously, what's his name? Biden, the military-industrial complex, the Europeans. We know the exact names. Now, should they be punished? Should they be held accountable for this? Are they responsible for anything? If they would have done what they want to do now, so they want to put on the table something Russia wanted to put in December. But they didn't want. And now they're okay with that. Why weren't you in December? You needed to be kicked in the balls and destroy a country and economies and our lives? Is that what it was? You idiots? Yeah, exactly. Because there are some big interests that needed money, profits and influence. They want to take over the market in Europe, the market of energy market, the bankers always there, and the American military-industrial complex. Okay? Now, I hate when things are possible now, but they were not possible yesterday, and nothing changed. Even is worse now, it's harder now to accomplish that could have been accomplished yesterday. I will give you an example in my real life. When I came to America, I got a job and I got to be I got promoted. I got to be the job superintendent in a roofing company, commercial roofing company, right? And I worked over there. Okay, and then there were some conditions, pay was shitty, and other people that worked in my position were paid better and all that. So I raised this with my the boss of the bosses, which is that was the next one. So I was right there. Okay. So I said, no, I can't pay you. We can't, I can't pay you, we don't make profit, nothing. Okay. So after a while, after some bullshit occurred, a while being maybe a month or two, some things occurred, and I came and I said, you know what, I'm done, thank you very much, here are the things, I resign. Now, when I resigned, I wanted to leave, just like that. He said, stop, let's go and talk. I said, I was new in America, so I was still of a certain mentality, you know what I mean? I like this, not okay, let's do. I said, fuck it, I'm not gonna. Oh yeah, let's talk. I said it in my head, and I told him, and I said, you think you're gonna convince me? You're not gonna convince me. How are you gonna convince me? Let's go and talk. So we went inside. That occurred outside. We went inside and we talked. Everything and more that I requested, I asked for, was possible then. Pay increase, go and take a vacation, 2 weeks pay vacation on top of your vacation. When you come back, you're gonna do this, all promises, including, more pay, more vacation, more everything was possible then. And I was, fuck, I already said I'm quitting. I'm not a fucking bazaar fucker here. I'm out. And I left. And I was thinking, and I'm still thinking, how was that possible then? That means a month ago, which was the same circumstance, the same situation, he didn't want to give me something that he could. So I quit because he didn't give me then. Only when I said I'm done and here is your things and I'm leaving, then everything was possible. Even more than I asked a month ago. How is that possible? I'm going to give you another example. Biden and the guys with railway or whatever they had with a problem, they solved problems that were not possible until those guys said, you know what, the union, we're going to strike. The transportation, rail transportation, we're going to strike if you don't give us this. No, go, blah, 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 blah. And then they said, we're going to strike. And said, okay, come and talk. They gave them almost everything they asked. Something that they were not able to give them, I don't know, a week ago. So the same here. Who are those responsible that they could give now guarantees to Russia after so many people died, so much destruction occurred in Ukraine? Ukraine is fucked up, refugees over there, people made profit, Russians are already there, that's already gone to Russia. Who are those responsible? We know exactly who they are. Is anything going to happen to them? No. Then don't tell me, not you. I don't want to hear about justice and yes, the rule based. No. That's why when they say we're going to have a Hague court for Putin and so on, really? You are past due or with some other people that are still alive from 1999, 2001, 2000, blah, blah, blah. We still have them. They're not punished and we know their names. So don't tell me about Putin and Lavrov and all this they have to be hanged by their balls. I don't really care about that. I care about justice. Yeah? Okay, let's go back, get the ones that are still alive and investigate. We already know. No, and then dispense justice. And then get those guys, Putin and all those guys, investigate and dispense justice. And then we get Blinken as well. We're going to get the shuffling madness, the semi-conscious Biden, because maybe, I'm just saying, maybe some are responsible for certain things. Like, for instance, not wanting to negotiate Russia's guarantees in December 2021. But now, Macron and Biden are on the same page. Okay? Listen, I'm having a great life. Okay? So I can just click and live my life. The problem is it gets me angry when I see this kind of injustice and all this weaselship around us with these guys that are our leaders. And I don't wanna, because I can. I've been doing it for some time already, right? I'm 1,000 years old too. So yeah, no, that's it, no. Who are they? Well, if you do something at work, they will penalize you in a second. Here, I know, outrageous. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart. Look for the truth and be just.